Here's the thing. So, a lot of us aren't going to be able to celebrate Thanksgiving for one reason or another, whether it's COVID or we just can't travel, whatever reason. So, that doesn't mean that you can't celebrate on your own and enjoy some of the classics that you love, and make it for just yourself, you, or maybe just you and your roommates. So, that is what this series is all about, is breaking down Thanksgiving dinner, all the classics, into individual portions. We can do it. We can do this, guys. I believe in you. So let's go. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, look at this. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to first start with the stuffing recipes. All I do to make it an individual size serving is, one, I cut down the ratios of the recipe. And then whatever recipes I use, I make sure that I can get stuff from the bulk section or from the butcher. So, instead of getting a whole loaf of French bread, you could get just like a roll, which would be fine. When it comes to like making a side of green beans, you don't buy a bag of green beans. You go to the bulk section of the green beans, and where you buy it by weight, and you just grab a handful. If you are making one, chicken for one, you go to the butcher and get one chicken breast. Sometimes you can get them marinated too, which is great. It does a lot of the work for you already. So that's kind of like how I go about doing these things. I look at these recipes and I figure out, I'm like, okay, how do I reduce this to one? And it's just all about ratios and being clever at the grocery store. It can be done. So 1 1/4 cup, I'm cutting this recipe in half, and then, if you wanted to do this for yourself, all you have to do is cut it in half again, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Done. So if you were doing this for yourself, it'd be a little over a half a cup of onions, of chopped onions. So I'm going to show you how I'm cutting this onion. So I cut it this way first, and then I cut it this way, and then I chop it so that by the time I'm chopping it this way, it's all falling into nice little cubes, and I'm not having to like work super hard for it. If you put your hand on top like this, not only do you steady it, but you're not going to get yourself cut. Okay, and then just bam. See how it's diced like that? Super easy and fast. I'm curling my fingers because I don't want to chop a finger off. Fingers are, you need them. No, my mouse. Oh, there we go. Preheat oven to 250. Butter a baking sheet. Yeah, that's what I thought. We're going to be sauteing the onions and the celery in the butter. And until they brown, and then we're going to add that to a bowl we'll have the bread. We'll stir in the herbs, salt, pepper, drizzle with chicken broth, gently toss and then let cool. Whisk the broth, the remaining broth and egg in a small bowl, add to the bread mixture, fold in gently, and then you bake it. You really are just like, you're doing a little bit of sauteing, but it really is a lot of assembling and then letting it bake. I add my own sound effects, throughout my day. So I'm glad you're amused by it. One thing that my mom taught me, and this is actually kind of genius, if you take the wrapper of the butter, when you're buttering a pan, if you have to butter a pan for baking, if you take it, you can use that instead of wasting like paper towels or something like that. You use the wrapper of the butter to like spread it all around. Just kind of genius. Thank you, Mom. Put all this in. I'm going to grab some celery here. So I need a little over half a cup of celery, which will probably just be one stalk of celery. I'm not even going to measure this. These are aromatic vegetables that are adding flavor to the dish. This is sauteing. Here we go. I am using day old bread, and that is what they asked for, and then they want us to toast it to dry it out even more. So we'll do it. It's going in. Yeah, I'm going to peel this sweet potato, yam, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to peel it, and then we're going to slice it. Look at that. I love the color. Look at that. They're going to be, and basically it's just super simple. You just dust the spices over it. Put some brown sugar, which we've got here, some brown sugar over it, some butter, and marshmallows, and away we go. We got all the things. All the things. Yeah, pumpkin pie spice is basically just a combination of all these, like nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, ginger, cloves, all of them. Okay, so just doing a little pinch of everything. Pinch. I love cinnamon. It's one of my favorites. I put this on everything. I put it on my old fashions, Negronis, coffee, toast, ice cream, literally everything. One thing that you do want to do when you're doing this with these spices, whichever one you have used, you need to make it clear where you're putting it and where it is in compared to the ones that you haven't used yet, because they all kind of look the same. You know. If you lose track, it could be difficult. Not a lot of ginger. Ginger's pretty potent. That is the one thing. That is the one thing that you want to not be liberal with. I couldn't go through this series of breaking down Thanksgiving dinner and how to make it for one without adding pumpkin pie. But that is another thing where it's like it's really hard to make a single serving of that. Because, you're supposed to make a whole pie out of it. And you know what? Hey, if you want to make a whole pie, you want to eat that whole pie, this is a safe space here. I am not judging. So I'm putting some pieces of butter all over the top, and then I'm going to put some sugar. I got to cut it. Usually you can rip it. Oh, come on. Get with the times. Imperial sugar. Going to take a little, that's the construction, if you can hear it in the background. Dust that on top. These are becoming translucent. When they start browning, they haven't quite browned yet, but when they start browning, we'll take them off, and then we'll deal with the bread. Look at how cute. I love this packaging. It's adorable. So, just making sure this is lined up okay. All right, so I'm just going to scatter them around. I love marshmallows. I think they're adorable. Like, growing up, we called anything chicken related was Chicky Doodle. Our family loves to give really interesting nicknames to things. Okay. I'm a weirdo, but it's okay. I'm going to chop up some bread. So I'm just going to cut this in cubes. It's really crisp. It doesn't need to be perfect. Like, if this doesn't look like a perfect cube, doesn't matter. You got to remember, and if you squish it, that's okay too. All of this is going into a dish, getting covered in, eggs and broth. It's going to be baked. This does not need to be perfect. Hold on, I need to measure it. Love me some sage. That's a really classic Thanksgiving herb. Half a tablespoon of rosemary, thyme. Okay. Again, you don't need fresh. I just bought fresh because I wanted to follow this recipe. If you're using dried herbs, they are a lot more potent. So, you don't, it's not necessary to use fresh. So it looks about 1/4 of a cup. I'm going to just start dumping these straight into the bread bowl because that's exactly where it's going to end up going anyway. Again, I'm eyeballing this because I know what a tablespoon looks like, but if you don't want to eyeball it, you can go ahead and pull out Yep, that looks like a tablespoon. You can pull out your necessary measuring tools. And you see how the leaves are going this way? We're gonna lightly pinch the stem and pull away, and it all comes out like that. Rosemary, another wonderful, wonderful herb. That is next. Okay, herbs are in, and then I'm gonna dump in the ooh, that's hot. That's very hot. We're gonna dump all of this in. Look at that goodness. Oh yes. Got salt, pepper. This is a fourth. So 1, 2, a little over. There we go. All right, then we're gonna mix it. Look at the herbs, the butter, the onions, celery. Looks so pretty. Whisk and the rest of the broth and eggs in a bowl. Add to bread mixture, fold gently till combined. So this is basically a really savory custard without the cream. This is the glue that's going to bind it all together, right? Just like a lot of this really is assembling and baking until the egg is cooked through and it's browned on top. So I brought this and I really liked it, and it changed my perspective on stuffing when before I really did not like it. But that's because I was eating stuff from like the instant box stuff, which a lot of people like. A lot of people like it. I'm like one of the only people that does not like it. But this is good. This is real good. Okay, going in the oven. Along with the candied yams. Pumpkin pie, pumpkin pie, pumpkin pie, pumpkin pie. Here we go. So, graham crackers. They're saying half a cup. This is another childhood favorite of mine. And making gingerbread houses with them, even though you're supposed to use gingerbread, we always use these because they're so much easier. And they're basically made for building houses. I'm thinking like half a cup might be 2 or 3 of these. Putting them in the bag, crushed them up already a little bit. Use like the back of this measuring cup. You can use whatever you want, but just sit and whack it. Okay. We got crumbs for the crust. And then a teaspoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of butter for the crust. I'm using this. I'm going to be mixing the crust in here. Half a cup. Butter. The ink is attacking my curtain. And I'm basically using the fork to cut the butter into the crust. Almost like wet, like damp sand, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've got these 2 ramekins. If you have like a larger one, you know, you're going to put it in there. So you're going to just use your fingers, the back of your fingers, to push it all down. Try and get it as even as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and we are going to put these in the oven to bake for 8 minutes. Half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Then we need 1/8 of ginger and cloves. 1 egg. 1/4 a cup of canned pure pumpkin. And then 1/4 a cup of evaporated milk. Got 1. The pumpkin that I'm going to be opening up, and that's also going to be 1/4 of a cup. Yep. A pinch of salt. It's nice to contrast that. And you know what? I'm also going to add some vanilla. Do a little drop of that. Oh, we need to add some sugar. 1, 2, 3. There's 2. Crusts are done. Ooh. It's the inky Hi. Hi. The baby. He's a baby. Here. All right, and these are gonna go right back in. Everything else is bubbling away, looking real good. Man, that's hot. All right, here is the stuffing. You can see it. Let's look at the yams. Oh, well, I guess I don't know what I did wrong, but all of the marshmallows dissolved. I've got the yams, the stuffing, and pumpkin pies are finishing in the oven. I'm gonna grab a toothpick, prick where you stick it in. If it comes out clean, it's done. And they did. So they're done. We have got, this is still hot, so I'm going to hold it with my little oven mitts here. But we've got classic pumpkin pie with a graham cracker crust. It's a little individual serving of the classic dessert that every American has on Thanksgiving. And then we have got candied yams here. And then the star of today is the homemade stuffing. Everything can be reduced down to just an individual serving if you really wanted to do that. Thank you so much. I enjoy this. I love hanging out with you guys and whipping up something interesting. I've never made individual size servings of any of these, so I'm learning along with you. Believe it or not, I wing all of these recipes live with you. I don't practice them because one, I just don't have time, and two, it's kind of fun to stumble through it with you guys. That might sound crazy, but I like it. So anyway, I will catch you later. Stay safe. Do what you got to do to stay sane. We all got to take care of ourselves right now. And I'll catch you in another episode soon. Okay? Bye.